Daniel adjusted the straps of his worn backpack as he stepped out of the grocery store, the paper bag in his hands carrying only the bare essentials: bread, eggs, milk, and apples for his son. Every dollar mattered. Every purchase was weighed against bills and rent, but he'd grown used to that calculation. The evening air was crisp, the market street alive with chatter. Stalls lined the sidewalks, their vendors calling out last-minute offers before closing. Daniel, weary from a long shift at the construction site, was ready to head home. He pictured his son, Jamie, waiting at the apartment with homework spread across the kitchen table, asking, "Did you get the apples, Dad?" That thought alone kept Daniel's tired steps moving. Then he noticed her. At the far end of the street, beside a cracked lamp post, a woman knelt next to a broken wooden cart. The cart was piled high with bags of recyclables, cans, and scraps, the kind of load people pushed to survive when they had nothing else. One wheel had buckled sideways, refusing to turn, and the woman strained against it, her face hidden beneath a scarf and a faded hood. Shoppers passed her without stopping. Some glanced and then quickly looked away, as if her struggle might be contagious. Others muttered under their breath, annoyed that she was blocking part of the walkway. Daniel slowed. He could have kept walking. No one expected otherwise. After all, he was exhausted, and every minute counted when your child was waiting at home. But something in the scene pulled at him. Not just her struggle, but the quiet dignity in how she endured it. She didn't beg, didn't cry out. She just pushed and pushed, her thin arms trembling with effort. Without thinking further, Daniel set down his grocery bag on the curb. "Looks like you could use a hand," he said, crouching beside her. The woman startled slightly, then looked up. For a brief, breathless moment, her eyes met his, deep, dark, and filled with something he couldn't quite name. Recognition flickered at the edge of his memory, like a shadow in the corner of his vision. But before he could process it, she lowered her gaze again. "It's fine," she murmured. "I'll manage." Daniel shook his head. No one should have to wrestle with this alone. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small, rusted wrench. He always carried it, a habit from years of repairing things at work and at home. He knelt beside the broken wheel, inspecting it carefully. The bolt had come loose, leaving the wheel wobbling off its axis. "You're lucky," he said, forcing a bit of cheer into his voice. "This can be fixed." The woman watched silently as he worked. His hands were rough and calloused, fingers marked by small cuts and scars from construction. Yet they moved with precision and patience, tightening the bolt, straightening the wheel. His father had taught him long ago that no matter how tired you are, if you see something broken, you fix it. Within minutes, the wheel clicked back into place. Daniel gave the cart a gentle push, and it rolled smoothly forward. "There," he said, brushing his hands against his jeans. "Good as new. Well, at least good enough to get you where you need to go." The woman's lips trembled as if she wanted to say more but couldn't find the words. Finally, she whispered, "Thank you." Her voice carried a tremor, soft but thick with unspoken emotion. Daniel smiled, lifting his grocery bag. "Just glad to help. People don't look out for each other enough these days." She held his gaze a second longer. In that moment, he felt something stir in his chest. Not attraction exactly, but recognition, as though he'd heard her voice somewhere before, years ago, in another lifetime. But then she blinked, lowering her eyes again, and the moment passed. Daniel straightened. "Take care, all right." He turned to go, but as he walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just brushed past something important, something more than coincidence. Behind him, the woman rested her hands on the cart's handle, watching his figure retreat into the crowd. Her breath caught in her throat. Daniel. She knew that name, that face, even beneath the years of struggle etched into it. Her heart ached with recognition and secrets she had carried for far too long. But for now, she said nothing. And Daniel, weary but strangely unsettled, walked home to his son, unaware that the beggar woman whose cart he had just fixed was not who she seemed, and that their paths were only beginning to cross again. The diner smelled of coffee and fried onions, the kind of scent that clung to your clothes long after you'd left. Daniel had worked here for the past year, bussing tables and scrubbing counters after his construction shifts. It wasn't glamorous, but the tips from kind customers sometimes covered the little things, like Jamie's art supplies or a rare pizza night. Tonight was quieter than usual. The neon sign hummed faintly outside, glowing against the dark street. Daniel wiped down a booth with slow, practiced movements, his body weary from the day. But no matter how tired he was, he kept a small smile ready. Jamie deserved a father who didn't collapse under the weight of the world. The bell above the door jingled. Daniel glanced up automatically, rag in hand. A sleek black car had pulled up outside, and from it stepped a woman. She pushed the door open with careful grace, her heels tapping against the diner floor. Heads turned. She didn't belong here. Not with the elegance she carried, not with the emerald silk blouse beneath her tailored coat, not with the air of quiet command that seemed to follow her. For a moment, Daniel didn't recognize her. He saw only wealth, refinement, someone far removed from his world. Then her eyes found his, and the diner seemed to fall away. It was her, the beggar woman from the market, except she wasn't bent over a cart now. She wasn't wrapped in rags. Her face, no longer shadowed by a hood, was striking. Older, yes, softer at the edges of time. But beneath it all, achingly familiar. Elena. The name slipped from his lips before he could stop it. Her smile was small, trembling. Hello, Daniel. The rag in his hand fell to the table. I don't understand. His chest tightened as memories surged. Late night walks across campus. Shared laughter over cheap coffee. Dreams whispered under starlight. Then silence. The sudden vanishing that had gutted him years ago, leaving only unanswered questions. You were. He couldn't finish. He had believed she was gone from his life forever. I was, she said softly, reading the words he couldn't voice. And I am. She stepped closer, ignoring the curious glances of the other patrons. To her, the crowded diner was empty. There was only him. The cart. Was it? Daniel struggled to piece the fragments together. A disguise, Elena admitted, her voice breaking. I needed to know something, Daniel. I needed to know if kindness still lived in a world obsessed with wealth and power. I've built an empire, yes. I'm wealthy beyond measure, but I lost myself in it. I stopped seeing people, really seeing them. Until last night. Daniel shook his head, still in disbelief. You're telling me, you're a billionaire? A faint, almost guilty smile curved her lips. Yes, my company grew bigger than I ever imagined. But all the success, the cars, the penthouses, none of it ever replaced what I lost. Her eyes glistened. None of it ever replaced you. The words hit him like a punch and a bomb at the same time. Part of him wanted to rail at her, for disappearing, for staying silent, for letting him believe she was gone from his life while he struggled alone. Another part ached with longing, because hearing her voice again after all these years felt like coming home. I don't understand, Daniel said finally, his voice rough. If you had all this, why pretend to be on the street? Why come to me now? Because I wanted to see you as you truly are, Elena whispered. Not polished, not prepared, not expecting anything from me. I wanted to see if the man I once loved still lived in the same heart. And I saw him, bending down to help a woman no one else would even look at. That's who you are, Daniel. That's who you've always been. His throat tightened. He thought of Jamie, asleep at home, of the years spent scraping by, of nights lying awake wondering if life would ever offer more than survival. And here she was, standing before him, not as a beggar but as the love he had thought lost forever. Elena, he began, but his voice cracked. She reached for his hand, her grip warm, trembling with urgency. I don't want to lose you twice. I've lived in a world of power, Daniel, but it's empty without someone to share it with. I see you now, and I see the man I never stopped loving. Please, don't walk away. The diner seemed to fade into silence around them. The clatter of dishes, the murmur of voices, all background noise to the weight of her words. Daniel swallowed hard. I'm just me, a single dad trying to get by. I don't have anything to give you, Elena. Her eyes filled with tears, but her smile was steady. You've already given me everything. You gave me the truth of who you are. You gave me proof that love, real love, isn't destroyed by time or money. And I want to give you something in return. Not out of pity, not because of wealth, but because you're the only man I've ever wanted a life with. For the first time in years, Daniel allowed himself to breathe deeply. To imagine a future not bound by struggle but by possibility. He thought of Jamie again. Not of bills, not of rent, but of the joy his son might feel if love, stability, and family found them at last. Slowly, Daniel squeezed her hand back. "I don't know what this means," he said honestly. "I don't know how it fits into the life I've built. But I know this, when I saw you at that cart, something inside me remembered. Remembered what it felt like to believe in more than just surviving." Alina's tears spilled freely now, but her smile grew brighter. "Then let's remember together. Let's start again." And in that quiet diner, beneath the hum of neon and the smell of coffee, Daniel realized he was no longer a man simply enduring the weight of his days. For the first time in a long time, he felt the fragile but undeniable stirrings of hope, and the possibility of a love reborn.